Hey y'all, this is the Twin Rivers Music Scene podcast with your host Madison
and Reed. We're here to highlight local and upcoming musicians in and around New Braunfels, Texas.
We believe the Texas and Americana music scene is what truly makes this town special, and we are so excited to provide a platform for y'all to hear straight from the artists themselves.
We hope y'all enjoy the Twin Rivers Music Scene podcast and stay tuned for more interviews posted every other Friday.
No venue too far, any song at every bar. Here to cover your needs. Twin Rivers Music Scene.
This next guest is a Texas musician, songwriter, and venue owner whose roots run deep in the state's live music culture. As the owner of the historic Riley's Tavern in Hunter, Texas, the first bar to obtain a beer license in the state after the Prohibition, he has played a key role in preserving one of Texas' most iconic stages while continuing to champion songwriters and working musicians. As the frontman of his band, he has released multiple records and built a reputation for vivid, story-driven songwriting that reflects the landscapes and characters of the Texas and American West. Balancing life as both a musician and venue owner, he brings a rare artist-first perspective to everything he does, shaping Riley's Tavern into a place where history, community, and live music continue to thrive. Twin Rivers Music Scene is excited to welcome Joel Hofmann to the podcast. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I'm like, thanks for having us.
Yeah, in your space.
Well, everybody needs a space. I'm glad to offer y'all one.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
Yeah, we want to start off by saying, obviously, thank you for letting us host the podcast here. All the musicians that have come in and been on it say how special this place is, especially to sit down and talk about their music. They just feel very proud to do it in this space. So we appreciate it.
Anytime.
So can you talk about how you came to own Riley's, just to get that story started off?
I was playing in a band with a friend of mine, and one of the first bands I was ever in. And we got a few gigs out here for Rick and Donna Wilson, and I heard during one of those evenings that they had offered it to their bartender, and so I gave him my card and said, if that falls through, call me. I might be interested. And a few months later, they called, and it took us a while to piece it all together, but it took about 8 or 9 months, and we were able to make the changeover.
Had you owned a bar before that, or was this your first one?
No, this is it. But I grew up in a small business, a family-run small business, and so it didn't seem that far of a stretch to, if you're selling one thing, you can sell another.
Fair.
It's just entertainment and alcohol business is a whole different thing, than just selling welding supplies.
Yeah.
But it's been good. It took a while to get our feet on the ground here, and I think a lot of it is population driven. The population's been growing so heavily over the last 10 or 15 years that this area is. People used to think of Riley's as being in the middle of nowhere, and we're right in the middle of two pretty good-sized cities.
Mm-hmm.
And with all the neighborhoods moving in, things have gotten a lot easier to keep a crowd here. Plus, having good live music for so long, people have gotten to know the reputation that no matter who's on stage, it's probably going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I was going to say, so many iconic artists have, played here. As a musician yourself, what do you pride yourself on having this historic stage for all these artists to play on?
Well, that was the whole point of wanting a place like this. Not really, the bar just is the way to make the money. But my whole passion was to book music and have a place for artists to play at. And, I grew up at San Marcos, and there's always been there's never been enough live music in San Marcos, I don't think. I mean, we had the Triple Crown Bar for many years, and that they had music every day. The whole time they were open, they had music every single day. And but that was really it. I mean, there's Cheatham Street Warehouse that has history, but it's always been sporadic. They don't have music all the time, and then, you know, for a college town, they just don't seem to have much going on as far as the live music scene goes.
Well, we both went to A&M, and I honestly felt the same way about College Station. There was one or two bars that you could definitely count, like Harry's and the Tap were venues that everyone went to. But other than that, you would think there would be more of a live music scene.
Yeah,
so.
like the day-to-day bars, kind of like New Braunfels.
I'm beginning to think that it's the demographics is different with it. Maybe the students don't have the funds to always go out and support live music.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Whereas in New Braunfels, you know, you have you have an economy that's stepped up from San Marcos, and so maybe there's extra people have the income to go and do more extra spending. Plus, tourism is drawn to New Braunfels because of green and all of that, the river scene. But San Marcos has a river too. I don't know.
Yeah, there's two different vibes.
It's totally two different vibes. Yeah.
That's true, and it's so like close together. But I guess because it is like primarily a college town. But
I think that's cool that Riley's is physically located in between those two different vibes, and then it kind of meshes both, but also creates its own atmosphere here. So you being a musician that books music for your own band, and also you book music for this venue, having that dual perspective, how do you operate in like booking for yourself and a venue, knowing the artist perspective of it?
Well, it makes it a little easier to know, know what other venues are able to pay bands, for one thing, because if I was blind to that, then I might not have as good a feel for what to offer bands.
Got to get a pulse on the competition.
Right. And then, I'm not easily fooled because of that too,
Yeah.
And I like to see what other bars are booking and what kind of draw they're getting, and it's all just keeping a pulse on the scene, and it seems to me since COVID ended that a lot of artists are trying to somewhat bypass the smaller venues and just go straight into playing bigger places for more money. And whereas in decades past, you had to work your way up slowly, and you had to pay your dues in all these fine clubs that are small. And if you can't pack a small club, you've got no business moving on to a bigger one, or any kind of a theater or concert. But I think a lot of these artists now are trying their best to jump right on into, these bigger events.
Do you think that has to do with social media?
I think it has to do with streams and social media and popularity online and whatnot. You don't have that grassroots. You've got to get right down with the people, and you got to be there shaking hands and talking yourself up and on and on and on. I think that, and a lot of times when I get emails from bands that want to play, they mention how many followers they have and how many streams they've had, and that doesn't really translate to how many folks are going to come see them.
True, because if the streams are mostly people in a different state or a different area, then it really doesn't.
So how do you then pick like the bands that kind of go on stage? I know you said that you kind of like have a pulse on the competition, but when you do get like I'm sure you get so many emails of people trying to play here, I would imagine. So how do you kind of zone in on the artists that you want to play here? Like, are they mainly like local, so they'll draw in a crowd, or?
It's both. I'll book through agencies and get road shows in here quite often, but and then some of them are locals that I know that the quality of their stuff. We're trying to get about a mix of both. I can't do a ticketed show every single weekend because I just can't do that much promoting. Every weekend can't just be that huge event where I've got to promote and promote and promote and promote and promote.
Right.
And I don't know, you think it's kind of a back and forth. The bands need to do about half the promoting for their show, and then the venue also needs to promote to their customers that like the venue. It needs to be a good partnership with promoting, and sometimes that happens really well, and sometimes it doesn't. Got some really good acts coming this spring, lots of them. We've been putting a lot of events on Eventbrite, and I think Core Blund is almost sold out.
That's
Yeah,
exciting.
I've heard a lot of people calling about that.
I think we're like, Jesse said, we should put some posters in the bar. I said, there's no point. It's sold out already. I mean,
right.
people are coming from Louisiana and Oklahoma to see that show.
That's
That's
awesome.
cool.
So yeah, if y'all are listening, look at the Riley schedule online so that you can go buy some Core Blood tickets before they're gone. To kind of pivot from Riley's into your own music career, did you come from a musical family, or how did you get started in the music space?
Well, somewhat music lovers, and you know, I've been playing since I was 8 or 9 years old, and had the support of my parents, and they were music lovers that loved all kinds of music. And as far as playing goes, I was just kind of gravitated toward that classic country, you know, Western sound. As far as playing, I listen to all kinds of stuff, but my voice and my playing, that it seems to go into the country a lot more than it does anything else.
What kind of country were you listening to growing up with your parents? Who was playing on the radio?
Well, back then, you know, it was the 80s, so we had some good stuff.
Yeah, the 80s.
And, you know, back then they were still playing stuff from the 60s and 70s. You know, George Jones was one of my first country loves, of course. We went to see him when I was about 13.
Dang.
What was that like?
It was wonderful. He had just released that Rockin' Chair album. I Don't Need Your Rockin' Chair. I think Pam Tillis played, and some other guy, Tracy Lawrence or something like that.
Love him too.
Love him. Yeah, you really love him.
Yeah.
But my tastes go way back into the 50s with country and with rock and roll and that Sun Records stuff, Carl Perkins and Elvis and all that stuff,
Yes.
Johnny Cash.
Was there any artist particular that kind of made you want to jump into music full time?
Well, back in the mid to late 90s, I used to go see Dale Watson once a week, and he played a free show once a week. I got to know him, and my bass player Billy D was playing with him for about 13 or 14 years through that period, and I got to meet all those guys then, and I just wanted to have that. I just wanted to do it. But after doing it a little while, I realized that it was not something that I was willing to try to make a living at.
It's hard. I can imagine.
You've got to play just about every time you can, whether you feel like it or not. You have to be on, so to speak. So if you're feeling kind of introverted that day, you've got to figure out a way to turn that around and turn
stage
yourself
presence,
on.
yeah.
You've got to be ready to go. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, and that's tough because a lot of musicians are introverts and a lot of musicians are kind of very reflective and emotional. And a lot of them have, you know, some of them even have depression issues and things that they go through. And that's kind of how they get their creativity out and they get but so it's hard. They've got to do that, and then they've got to go and be on and entertainer. So it's like two different people you have to be. You can be this really eclectic, emotional, songwriter. But then you've got to actually turn yourself on and go entertain people too.
Yeah.
Go
so.
share that.
Speaking of that, like, what do you think would be like your hardest and easiest? Would it be like the songwriting thing and the music piece come naturally, or the stage presence is harder to kind of turn it on sometimes, or is it just kind of like?
No,
different?
I like writing a lot more than I used to.
Okay.
I used to not have the self-esteem to think that anything I was writing was any good until I got a little older and started actually just forcing myself to sing these songs in front of people, and then hearing feedback, and then writing with other great songwriters, and putting those songs out and getting the confidence built that I needed to get built to think that, well, the songs that you write aren't bad, It's just that one of those things it's hard to jump into that thinking that you're actually any good at it, and then start singing them in front of people that have never heard them.
It's vulnerable for sure, I'm sure.
And then now I would rather do my original songs or co-writes that I've written with friends or and other writers than cover songs.
Yeah.
So it evolved into that, and I knew that you can't really you're either a cover band or you do both, and I do both. When I play, I'll do both, because people want to hear some of that classic stuff, a lot of it, so that they'll have a reference of. And if you're writing is good, and you pair that up next to a cover, and you sing one of your songs next, and it's in that same vein, and it's a good quality song, then people are like, well, I like his song too. I'm going to buy his record, because it's.
That's true.
Yeah, like they're similar. So speaking of your songwriting, you have a song called Pecos Jane that I think is very like storytelling and visual in the way you write it, which is really cool. And it's actually on this Gold Rush Town record that's sitting in between us. When you write songs in that way, where it's telling a story and it's very like you can picture it in your head, where do you pull the influence from? Is it like real things that have happened?
That song Pecos Jane is a true story. I was going through Newsbreak or whatever on my phone one day, and they told that story of that. There was a teenage runaway in the 60s that had ran away with an older man, although they didn't really know this because they never have identified this man that she was with. In Pecos, Texas, he ended up murdering her and, busting her head against the concrete, and they buried her as a Jane Doe. They called her Pecos Jane because it was Pecos, Texas.
Wow.
And 50 years after that date, they were able to do DNA and find her family in Oklahoma. She was a runaway. And when I read that article, I just thought, I'm going to write this story. And it's a 100% true story, that song.
Yeah.
And I even did a little montage video that's out. I know it's on Facebook. I don't know if it's made it to YouTube. I don't know how you put stuff on YouTube. Maybe y'all can.
We can
We'll
help
help
you.
you. Yeah, because this will be on YouTube. We'll put a link to it.
We got you. Don't
And
worry.
it's a montage of her picture and all the newspaper articles as the song plays,
Yeah.
and her story of her murder. And
Have you connected with her family after writing this song?
No, I don't know who they are or
Yeah.
anything like that. But the article. But after 50 years, they were able to actually take her back home.
Wow, that's
her
incredible.
Unmarked, unknown name grave. But they never figured out who this man is. He's probably long dead.
Yeah.
Hopefully he got what he deserved.
Well, that's really cool that you can take a real life story of something in the news that just stood out to you and write a whole entire song based on it. When you're writing your other songs, are you pulling influence from your own experiences, or do you ever write about things that maybe you haven't experienced, but you're just like, I want to write about this? I'll make
Both. Sad songs I can, and heartbreak, breakup songs and all that. Most people have experienced some of that in their lives, and so
And it's all first person.
Whether you're experienced, you might not ever experience it again, but if you do, you still have the ability to reflect on that and write something. I've been writing with Ted Russellkamp. He's produced this record that's going to come out in May. And him and I have just jumped in on a couple of occasions and just written a song that we just wrote a song. That there's one on here called Burning the Midnight Oil, and it's just kind of a rock and roll song about a guy running from the law, in his car. And it turned out to be a blast to do. It's a blast to write. But that was not from personal experiences. We've never run from the law. We've never,
Allegedly.
been on the
I'm
just
land. We've
kidding.
never, we just started doing that. So you can write songs of either way. Sometimes you just get a phrase in your head and you can go with it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, Ted and I both write similarly. We just write a bunch of things down. We might have a line that that we really like, and we just start writing lines, and then take a look at it later, and see how these lines are going to fit, and not try to do it. Sit down and write start to finish in a few minutes. Sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes it does. Sometimes you'll sit down and write a song in 10 minutes. And you're like, wow, that just really flowed. It really came to me. I just did it, And sometimes you just go back and forth with it for weeks or months even, and then you finally piece these phrases together and you got a song.
I know this is probably a hard question to pick from because you have so many songs, but are there any songs that stick out to you that you were like most proud of how you wrote it or that like mean the most to you?
Well, I have that Golden Nugget song on Shop Sessions, maybe. I wrote that for my wife, for Angie, and
Sweet.
that was a sweet love song, a heartfelt song. That's one of my favorites that I've written. I wrote a song about our house on that same record, and I thought that song only took me about 20 minutes to write, and it's one of my favorites. In fact, I played it last night, and a guy bought one of these CDs just because of that.
Love it.
That's cool.
I've noticed that CDs are getting very, very old-fashioned.
Yes. It's
But also people, like we worked a merch booth a
know.
couple weeks ago and we had probably 10 people ask, do you have a CD for him? Do you have a CD? And we didn't have any.
yeah, they're like a CD or a record,
So
but they like
maybe it's
wanted
going back.
something
Yeah. Like,
a physical instead of streaming. So
Yeah, when you go to a show, you want something in your hands. You want to be able to buy something. You want to take something home. I agree with that, and I still love CDs. They sound better than digital. That is the one platform that sounded better than any other. Better than cassette, better than record, definitely better. You lose a little information when you stream something.
yeah.
You don't get as much detail in it as you do if the CD seemed to be the best sounding way to play something.
That's interesting.
But my car doesn't have a CD player.
Mine doesn't either. It's
Yeah.
so heartbreaking because I still have all of my CDs.
We do too, and we put them on shuffle in the living room. We've got a 300 disc changer, and then in one of my old cars, I have a CD player and a big stack of CDs on the seat, and that's a whole lot more fun to me. I can pick what I want and listen to it because I like listening to the whole CD. I don't like just listening to one song of somebody and then another song of another. I like to listen to it like it's an album.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
it's a story. People put a lot of work in like an album, start to finish, and how they like curate it. So I agree. It makes me want to listen to a CD right now.
And these vinyl, that being collecting again has been good. We sell these records. At every show I sell a couple of records.
Yeah.
And or more sometimes. And a lot of times guys just frame them. I've got a couple of friends. Pirate is one of them.
Shout out Pirate.
Shout out Pirate. And he's covering his whole office wall in them, and framing the CD, the album packaging. And I've known a lot of guys that are doing that, and they've got a collection of wall of all the, and it's all shows they've been to, not just things they've ordered off the internet.
So speaking of your albums, you are recording or have finished recording? I
We've
guess,
finished recording
the fifth album?
11 tracks, and we had a single out last summer called College Town, and that's still out on all the platforms, and that's a song about San Marcos.
I was about to ask.
And my inspiration for that song was our buddy Dallas Burrow that has the Redbird in New Braunfels. He wrote a song called Rivertown because he grew up in New Braunfels. And so I was thinking, well, I grew up in San Marcos. I'll just write one called College Town. And they're two totally different sounding songs, but they both have that this is where I grew up and this is where I'm staying theme. And there've been we've had a lot of streaming on that, but I don't have it recorded yet. It's going to be on this record. And there's a song that I wrote with Mike Ethan Messick on there called Loud and Lonesome.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably going to be the title to it.
Okay.
We have a release date of May 8th is our release date.
Awesome.
That's exciting. And you recorded, you said half of that in LA.
We recorded it at the station in Los Angeles with Mark Rains, and then we recorded the other half with Pat Mansky and Dripping Springs at the Zone.
Can you tell us like both of those experiences and how they were kind of different at each studio, or if anything was different? But I feel like
Well, Pat and Mark are very similar kind of guys. They're kind of quiet guys.
Mhm.
They do the engineering, and Ted's been producing, which he jumps in and coaches. That's what a producer does. Like if he thinks that we should add that instrument or do this a little differently and it'll sound better, or do, you know. And I've never worked with a producer. My band's always just self-produced in the studio together as a group. I'll never go back to that.
I was gonna say I feel like that's cool, but now I guess that you.
Well, it's cool because you know my band members have played on so many albums through so many years with so many different artists that we can get by with doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a vast improvement having Ted, and for my voice too. He would stop me, goes, "If you sang it this way, I think it'll be better."
Mm-hmm.
Instead of me just doing the best I think I'm doing and then going with it.
Like an outside perspective on it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and basically a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to find one of those guys that doesn't step on egos, somebody that's really patient and somebody that's not going to, because you get a bunch of musicians in a studio and everybody thinks that sometimes they all think they're right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some ego here and there. But Ted doesn't have that going on, and I don't really choose band members that have egos either.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and your band members, I know your band has like fluctuated over time with who has been a part of it, but I know I've heard you talk about many times how much like you pride yourself in your band that you have now. How is it formulating that group of guys, and can you tell us about some of their accomplishments that they've had?
Well, Billy D's been with me the longest, the bass player, and he has played, he was the house band leader at the Gillies Club in Pasadena.
Iconic.
He played with Mickey Gilley, Johnny Paycheck, David Allen Coe,
Wow.
Dale Watson, and I got to know him a long time ago because I was going to all those Dale shows, and he started playing with his own band in here a couple of decades ago, and he was playing with Shelley Coe too in here, David Allen Coe's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's gigging anymore for some reason, but one day I didn't have my regular bass player guy, and I just called him out of the blue, and he wasn't busy, and then he's been with me ever since. So it's been about 15 years or more. And our drummers, we have about 3 different drummers. That Clay Rhinelander played with me back from the beginning, and he still plays, unless he's busy. Then we call Bill Manziel, who plays with the Derailers. Or we'll call Phil Fisher, who's spent about 4 years with George Strait.
Awesome.
And then last night we had Leroy Eichler on drums, which is George Strait's road manager.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Bus driver, road manager, just whatever he needs to be.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. That is cool.
And he's 81, and I didn't even know that until he said something yesterday. He goes, "I'm 80. You're not 81."
Like, how?
He's beating the drums and driving the
On the
bus.
road.
That's iconic.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's really
I
cool.
would have pegged him for like 65, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for him.
He's still kicking it.
Yeah.
Doing good is what he's doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
What has been your most rewarding, I guess let's do both, like most challenging and rewarding experience in your music career?
The most challenging is booking myself.
Okay.
I've always wanted to get an agent to take over. And a lot of the agencies don't see any money probably because I'm not able to tour much because I have other obligations.
Mm-hmm.
And when you pay the percentage of what a booking agent gets from the money you make at a gig, they're only making any real money on these giant shows
Yeah.
that they're able to book. Some of the agents that book here, they only get, I think, 10% of what the artist has to pay them. And the artist pays them 10% of whatever they make. Well, they've got to book some big stuff to actually bring home, make a living doing it. And me playing at the honky tonks, I don't know that there's any money for them to do it. I don't know that. But what's frustrating is after doing it all these years, playing music and booking in these places, it still feels like you're even after you have a reputation and people have heard you and you've been out there so many years, you're still having to rebook yourself at these clubs and start all over every time.
Yeah.
And you have to constantly solicit yourself. And I thought after doing this for so many years that these places I've played dozens and dozens of times would just start calling me like, we got these dates for you. You're okay with that? No, you've just got to constantly go right back to once your gig is over, you have to go right back to asking them for the next one.
Yeah.
And man, that'll beat you down and wear you out.
Sure.
And I try not to do that with our musicians. So the ones that I know that do well here and that have a crowd and that play really good music, I try to get them lined up for a few months in a row so they don't necessarily have to just start emailing right away again and be like, start the whole solicitation process over.
Yeah.
That gets really old, and booking yourself isn't easy
job
to begin with because you have to, promote yourself. You've got to have
and that's not always natural to do.
It's not natural. It's like being a used car salesman.
Like, I'm just trying to play my music again.
And I'm the kind of guy that isn't good at that. I don't have that kind of ego. Like, I'm awesome,
Well, you have to talk yourself up and, like, sell yourself to these people.
And my natural thought is, hey, man, I'm all right. If you want to book me, you can book me. I mean, if not, I understand.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
And that's my natural self-degrading kind of. I just don't have that kind of flamboyant ego. Like, you got to book me, man. I'm so badass.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
I have this many followers, this many streams.
I don't even know how to look that up.
That's funny. But yeah, I imagine that is hard because, like, with being a musician yourself, you're putting all your work and energy and time into writing music, playing it, recording it, playing shows, and then to have to flip onto that, like, business side of promoting yourself. You're like, I just want to do the artistic part. I don't want to, like, do this other side. Yeah.
So what's the most rewarding thing?
The most rewarding thing is seeing people on the dance floor. It's signing a record to somebody that really wants one at the end of the show. I mean, it's that's when you get in your car and go home from the show, you're like, oh, this was a good night.
Yeah.
Even if, I'd rather play to 20 people that are really in tune to me and really like it and really want to talk to me about the songs after the show or whatever, than to play to 500 drunk people that aren't paying attention, and don't get me wrong, playing to 500 people is awesome too, but some of these smaller deals, like at the Redbird, where you get to sit and really just connect with the crowd, and discuss, tell them why you wrote this or tell them what this is about, and so when they hear it, they can think about it and picture it in their minds and not go, well, I don't know what this is about. I hear the words, but what's the story? You know what I mean? And that's rewarding.
What is the most memorable thing someone has come up to you after a show and said about how your music moved them?
There's been quite a few things. a guy told me that he never was old enough to see Waylon Jennings, but he closed his eyes and listened to me and thought that's who he was listening to.
That is so cool.
That's a huge compliment.
Yeah.
I love that.
So, smoking and whiskey got me that voice, I guess.
Yeah.
With Riley's, what's the I would just kind of go back to Riley's. What's the craziest thing that's like happened here?
As a
being
venue owner.
Yeah, as like a venue owner that you've had to deal with. Except the pipes for
a guy, we had a gal working here that had an ex-husband. And he was in here with his brother and his brother's girlfriend. And the ex-husband and his ex-wife that was our bartender, they were getting along just fine. There was no problem, But his brother, who was drunk, thought, and his brother's girlfriend or wife, thought that there should be a problem, so we're going to cause a problem.
Just create one.
And
They're like, I'm bored.
the door guy got his ear bit like Mike Tyson did.
What?
Somebody threw my 70-year-old dad underneath this
Oh my God.
shuffleboard table, and that's what set me off.
Of course.
And that sparkly high-heeled stripper shoe up there.
Yeah.
The girlfriend of the guy started hitting other women with that shoe.
So this was an all-out
This
brawl.
is a brawl fight.
This was pretty much an all-out brawl.
Oh my God.
And they ran out of here, and started running down the railroad tracks, and cops got them and took them to jail in New Braunfels. And,
Wow. I would love to see their mugshot.
the dude lost his job. He was a probation officer in Victoria. He lost his job.
Wow.
Well, it serves him right,
Yeah,
Cause
exactly.
that much problems,
Yeah, I'm like in your probation.
That was really the
Interesting.
only fight we've ever really had in my tenure here.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I
that
mean,
you only
other
had
than
one. Like, that
other
sounds
than
pretty bad.
things that start getting started,
Yeah, and it don't really
but
break
then
out.
we need to fix that.
Yeah.
It's like in school. Most of the time, it gets broken up before
Right.
anything happens. This one didn't get broken up until I helped pin that guy down to the floor.
And someone's ear was bit, and then your
There
poor
was a
dad on the
bitten
floor.
ear. My dad got up and he's like dusting himself off.
Oh my God, it's so
Dang.
insane.
That is
I was
so
so
crazy.
curious, honestly.
And then one last question.
Somewhere that's on a zip drive.
The video.
Oh my God, the video?
Yeah,
Joel, we
somewhere.
need it.
I know. Let me ask Angie where did she put it.
Oh my God,
You need to put
please,
that,
we can
like-
put that the clip if we can get it. That'd be so funny.
Or put that in a music video of
We had
yours
to-
or something.
Yeah, but I could probably get sued for that. with
True.
people.
Yeah.
The police wanted that,
It's so funny.
and of course those people were lying about telling them that we were the aggressors and all that. And the police watched the video and were like, no.
Yeah.
You're like,
Roll
please
the
just
tapes.
watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wanted to pick a fight.
What has been the most fun show that you've had here? Like that you booked and you got to see it? I know I've been here for Mo Bandy and you've opened for them, and those have been so fun. They've been my favorite.
Mo's great, and he's a legend, and he's a good guy. We've had a lot of fun when Billy Joe Shaver was living, and we had him a few times. He actually did 2 nights for a flood benefit for free here,
That's awesome.
2 nights in a row, and both of those nights were pretty much sold out. Back on when we had the Memorial Day flood of what year was that? I don't remember. 2015 or something.
Okay.
2016. I don't remember. Billy Joe Shaver was a character, and he was a funny guy, and we really, he wrote all those hits. For Waylon, he wrote that whole record that Waylon had. Honky Tonk Heroes wrote the whole thing but one song. He kind of had to pin Waylon down and say, "You're going to record this." And Waylon balked at it, and then he recorded it, and it was one of Waylon's longest hit records that he's ever had. We've had some fun times in here. We had Scott Byron playing here once, and Scott's coming back with and he's in March, and he's going to have another band open for him called Chili Cold Blood. That's a great band.
Okay, we're excited for that.
And Scott grew up in San Marcos like me, and we know all the same folks, and we've been friends a long, long time. one night he played here and the power went out. There was a storm and the power went out, and everybody got in their cars and turned on their headlights. And he said in here, I don't remember if it was in here or we were back there yet, because we used to do music up here in this front corner before I built that add-on in 2006, that back room. And I don't remember what. I think he was back there, but anyway, everyone turned their headlights on through the windows, and he kept singing acoustic, and nobody ran their tab and walked out when the power was out. Everybody was cool. It was just a blast, and
That's so
somebody
cool.
wrote a little thing in Texas Monthly about that night. It was like a 2 or 3 inch column about that night when Scott played. That was a fun night.
That's very cool.
Yeah, love that. That's a really great memory to have in here. And you
Now
said he's
there's-
coming in March again.
March 20th.
Okay.
The
We'll be
tickets
there.
are already on our site.
Perfect.
Go buy them. We'll be there.
So, you have social media websites for your band. Can you tell people where to follow you, what your website is, and then also if you want to plug Riley's
My
too?
website is joelhoffmanband.com. I have one F in my name instead of two, so that some people, but I don't think it matters if you search Joel Hoffman Band, even if you spell it with 2 F's, it comes right up.
That's good.
Because I don't think there's another Joel Hoffman Band around. There's also, we're on Instagram and Facebook,
Soon
and
to
that's
be
easy
YouTube.
to find.
Yeah.
Soon, well, we've got some videos on YouTube, but I didn't post them. Other fans have posted them, or people videoing us
Yeah.
have posted them. And there's songwriters across Texas that we played on, and that's on YouTube. There's song samples on my website, and merch on my website, and all my shows listed.
Perfect.
And then I put events out on, of course, all the social media every time I play. So
And you also sell your merch here, right?
yeah, you can buy
So you can come here.
the records, CDs, T-shirts. I need to bring my T-shirts back. They're in the car. But yeah, you can buy all that stuff here at Riley's, along with the Riley's merch.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for sitting down
You're
and
very
chatting
welcome.
with us. And again, thank you for letting us use this space. It really means a lot to us because we would be outside filming in the frigid cold.
Y'all are welcome to it.
Thanks. And remember, new album streaming May 8th, right?
Yes, May 8th.
Perfect. All right. Again, this has been the Twin Rivers Music Scene podcast with your hosts, Madison and Reed, and our guest, Joel Hoffman. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
No venue too far, any song at every bar. Here to cover your needs. Twin Rivers Music Scene.